Since 2010, more than 24 enclosed shopping malls have been closed nationwide and another 60 are on the brink. I am here with a few experts on the topic to tell us what exactly is happening and what to expect.
The mall is losing some tenants, and you walk around the mall and there's less stores that are here. You see a lot of vacancies. You go down to one end of the mall, and kind of like we say in the Midwest, where I'm from originally, you could fire a shotgun and not hurt anybody. There's very few stores, and this mall is not alone in that. There's a lot of other malls in the country that are struggling, and part of the reason for that is that you've got competition from the internet. Places like Amazon.com, for example, even eBay, places like that, and even like your online presences that a lot of brick and mortar chains have, like Walmart.com, Target, cut into the business of shopping malls. It used to be back in the 1980s. When I was a kid, that the mall was the cool place to hang out because there was a lot of variety, there was a lot of activities going on, and kind of some of that momentum's been lost. And part of that's because people interact with each other differently. Social media has changed how teenagers and young people meet each other and interact and chat and communicate. So it's not the fault of anybody. It's just a changing society. It's a changing economic dynamic. It's a changing way that people shop.
JCPenney's was down in Old Town, downtown Pocatello for many years, and when the Pine Ridge Mall was built, they moved Penney's out to the mall, and for many years that lot was left empty and vacant downtown. The long-term plan was to rebuild the Chief Theater on that site, and the site is owned by the city of Pocatello. And about 5 years ago, we worked with the city and developed it into a paved parking lot with public art and landscape. And so it's not JCPenney's anymore, but it is a much better looking parking lot in the downtown area.
Deseret Book has been here since the very, very beginning, clear back in the 80s, in multiple locations, but we've been here ever since it opened.
Why do you think your store does so well?
I think the fact that we cater to the LDS community, particularly, they come here because this is the best place to get LDS material, but we've done a lot of other things as far as home decor and things like that that aren't necessarily for the LDS community, but just good inspirational things that help people in their lives.
I've owned Molinelli's since 2005. We've been in business since 1903, so we're Idaho's oldest jewelry store. We've always been in Old Town. It's been our experience that when a business entity that's been a long time somewhere moves, people won't look very far. They look to the left, to the right, in front and behind, and if they don't see you, it's like next.
They're losing some kind of key businesses out there, 3 or 4 that have been announced just recently in the news. We're seeing a growth in our business inventory downtown. More small business. We are the hub for small businesses and small business development in the Pocatello and Chubbuck area. You really have to, just like we do in the downtown area, you have to work at it every single day. And you've got to bring people and you've got to give them a reason to come.
The mall has never been attractive to us because we feel like we're a destination store. Nobody gets in their car and says, well, I'm going to wander down to Old Town and walk into Molinelli's and just kill some time. When they come here, we know they're here for a purpose and they want to buy something. We so well that we just invested over $1 million in a remodel and expansion, so we're happy to be here.
Do you plan on staying in the mall?
So if you would have asked me that a year ago, I would have probably said no. The mall management at the time was not very good, didn't seem to really care, and I think people in the community have probably seen the decline of the mall. Since then, the mall has been sold to a new company, and so they have completely turned my perception of Pine Ridge Mall around, and I think they're on the right track to getting it back to where it was a long time ago.
I think a lot of people might argue that it hasn't been in great management because a couple of businesses have recently, 3 or 4 that I can think of, have just barely closed down. Do you have anything to say about that?
Well, I think it's been on a downward decline for a long time. And so I think a lot of those decisions were probably made before the new mall management came in, per se. I think they've stopped the tide. A couple of those businesses that went out were owned by the same company. I know they've got some things in the works, not only here in the mall, but in the outlying areas.
Malls, part of the reason they became so popular, and they had a dynamic that made them, grow during the 70s and the 80s and into the 90s, was they offered a lot of variety to shoppers. They were the best option if you wanted to, price compare, check the quality of different goods. But now, the internet's taken that role. They fit that purpose, that place. So it's going to be hard, and it's hard for a lot of malls.
Having Cal Ranch move out recently to the mall, the old was Macy's in the Bond years ago, to that location, and I understand they're doing quite well out in that location. But you see that it's always, we have a trend to build bigger, better, and new, and then we have to come back and find reuse for those buildings. And so the reuse of the Pocatello Mall, well, it was demolished and the new Fred Meyer was built there. So the land has been reused, but the building necessarily wasn't.
We used to have community events all the time. People singing on the weekend at Christmas time, boat shows, RV shows, the art from the kids at school. And that pretty much had stopped, but it seems like lately, whether it's sidewalk sales or different events here in the mall, there's been a lot more of that lately. And
malls do malls or stores that have grocery elements to them, like your Fred Meyer, your Super Walmarts, they tend to do better, and they tend to be kind of more immune from that. So a lot of times things kind of reinvent themselves periodically as conditions change and as things become attractive again. Maybe that'll be the case with the malls.
To dig deeper and read the full article on mall extinction, click on the link below. Reporting to you from the Idaho State Journal, I'm Jenny Losey.